Okay, I'm recording.
I am recording.
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 Wake up, everybody. It's Halo Day, and this is the Halo King talking at you right now. We're going to talk Halo impressions, Halo Infinite multiplayer impressions. I'm a big Halo fan, have been since I was a little boy when Halo came up to my door and said, hey, don't you want to be a smart...
Yeah.
Sean, you're the actual Halo
there?
King. You're the actual Halo King. But we just played, what, an hour and a half?
Yeah, about an hour and a half of Halo Infinite, which dropped just a couple days ago for the 20th anniversary of the Xbox. It dropped, about 2-3 weeks early from, it was, because the campaign itself is dropping on December 8th, but they dropped the multiplayer mode early for everyone to play. So we jumped into that and played, I don't know, probably, 8 matches.
And it went well, if I remember correctly.
There was at least a win there at the end.
At least a win. So
We did well.
So I've got no experience with shooters, especially Halo. Robert or Jason, about the same? What with Halo specifically?
With Halo specifically, I've played the first one, the multiplayer campaign. That's literally the only Halo I've ever played.
And I played the first 3 games, multiplayer and solo campaign, but mainly solo campaigns are what I do in first-person shooters.
Got it. And so, Sean, why don't you go ahead and give us the first impressions, Mr. FPS himself.
Yes.
So I like this. It's Halo, and it is strange coming back to Halo after playing, say, like Titanfall 2, where Titanfall 2 is very much about speed, but Titanfall 2, the big difference that Halo has between a lot of other games, to me, is the time to kill. There are certainly some ways to insta-kill people, whether it's a headshot with a power weapon or a blow to the back of the head, because apparently the base of the neck on every Spartan is brittle and easily destroyed.
Something's got to be weak.
But if you're in a face-to-face fight, it's a good few seconds that you're duking it out with, that trying to get shots and duking it out, and you have the opportunity, as opposed to a lot of games where you got a good shot of being able to turn around a fight if you can get a decent move or a good grenade or grab some cover and then turn the fight around, which doesn't happen in other shooters. So that has always been kind of a hallmark of Halo compared to your Call of Duties. Or your Battlefields, and so it is enjoyable to play. It is also very jarring to go back to this style game. Yeah, so I mean, it probably plays closest to me to. So I played a lot of multiplayer in Halo 3, Halo Reach, and Halo 4, and it plays very similar to Halo 3. But faster because games have become faster. You've got sprint now. You've got the slide. There is an item you can pick up that gives you like a quick dash ability. But it's still very kind of it's the jumps are a little floaty. The grenades seem to defy physics in the way that they whirl through the air. But it's Halo. It plays like classic Halo. Really kind of brought into the modern age. So I'm pretty happy with their adaptation of Halo done currently.
Do you see yourself playing this? I mean, I know you're going to play the campaign. I think we're all going to play the campaign at least a little bit. But the multiplayer, do you see yourself coming back for any length of time?
I will probably play this multiplayer. So a lot of the, I very rarely played Halo multiplayer on my own. I played it with an engineering buddy of mine from college and my younger brother. And so I was texting both of them yesterday or the day before, talking about it. And yeah, this will certainly be a game that we'll turn to and play, and it'll be kind of fun to harken back to that. The nice thing is it is free to play. They're the campaign costs money, but they're funding this via Battle Pass. But if you just want to jump in and play, I was looking at the Battle Pass. It all appears to be cosmetics, so there's no pay to win here. The mechanics are equal footing, so it is nice to have that option.
Just so you know, people out there, don't click the Game Pass option. You don't have to. Right next to it, there's a free button. I didn't know that.
Oh, that's good intel right there.
Now,
question for you, Sean.
Yep.
Obviously, there was a bit of backlash when they originally announced this game from the hardcore fan base, and they delayed it. And I guess my
significantly.
question is, were those concerns addressed? Can we tell?
It's difficult to tell. I mean, because Master Chief looked great, and honestly, what we played, the Spartans looked great. The maps are nice. I noticed, one thing I got a kick of on one of the maps we were playing is you could actually see like one kind of almost looked like a subway station in some ways, and it had like rats were running around. There was another level that looked like it was in kind of a shanty town, and there were chickens running around the map, which is kind of a new thing, kind of having, because it's it being a shooter, I'm very keyed into movement, so having things moving around that weren't allies or enemies was interesting. I think it looks good, but a lot of things that people were complaining about, was like Craig the Brute. Well, we have seen the Brutes in subsequent footage, but we haven't seen them right now. Everyone's running around as pretty much identical looking Spartans.
True.
I'm not overly concerned about that. I wasn't overly concerned about, though, with the initial release, because I'm not really a graphics person, and I'm just hoping that we get a decent Halo story as opposed to Halo 5, which was pretty abysmal.
I didn't see no chickens. How do you see
I
the
didn't
chickens?
either.
How do you know?
I didn't see the rats. Didn't see the chickens.
You guys apparently didn't see a lot of enemies either, so.
We didn't.
I was too busy
glad.
dying.
Robert saw a lot of enemies. Robert's
did.
pretty good at Halo, it turns
Robert
out.
barbarianed his way by punching people to death over and over again.
It's a legitimate strategy.
It is. Yeah, I this was fun because games are fun and friends are fun. I will not be touching this again. Unless you guys want to, then I will. But like, I'm not gonna be like, man, you know what I shouldn't play? I shouldn't play Pokemon. I shouldn't play anything else that I love. I'm gonna go play Halo instead. No Diablo 2 for me today. I'm playing Halo. Those words aren't coming out of my mouth. Not that it's bad. It's just I'm bad. I don't do things I'm bad at.
Yeah.
Except this podcast.
Zing.
Burn. So
Here's what I'll say. It's so funny because when we first started playing, like the first match, I was getting annihilated, and Sean kept saying, actually, the time to kill in this game is pretty long compared to other games. And the more I thought about it and the more we played, I started understanding the game more. Because it always takes some adjustment period to get used to the game that you're playing and get used to the feel, get used to the look, figure out how to watch for enemies, where can they pop up, etc., right?
Yeah, realize that that thing in the lower left part of your screen is your radar.
Now you need to put
Yeah,
that
yeah.
higher. That should be in the top middle.
Yeah.
Not my health bar.
But my point is I was getting annihilated, and then I started to realize myself doing those things that Sean talked about. So like evading fire, finding cover, turning around, looking for who's actually shooting me. I'm so used to immediately dying in an encounter, and it is refreshing to play something where you do have that opportunity to respond, whereas most first-person shooters will punish you for not being vigilant enough to see the enemy in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing is like this plays like if you played Halo 3 with the exception of the fact that there's no dual wielding anymore, you're gonna be very comfortable playing Infinite. Because like grenades are the great equalizer. If you can duck around a corner, get a grenade, and bait a guy to chase you, he's gonna get hit by your grenade, and now you're gonna have taken his shields out, and you'll be able to get a quick melee or a quick gunshot kill, even if he initially got the drop on you. I will say what was cool was, with the exception of the human weapons and some of the Covenant weapons, there's a lot of new guns.
Cool.
I certainly weren't in Halo 4. I didn't recognize any from playing. I played the Halo 5 campaign. That I recognize from the Halo 5 campaign. So it's going to be interesting because there's a much bigger variety of guns than in past entries. I will say it's a little weird because they're all mounted up on the wall, and so they're not quite as like in your face easy to find as I recall them, kind of historically being.
Agreed.
And that's
But you can pull them off with dead enemies.
you can do that.
Sure.
And it's so it's going to be interesting because I mean, as you see, you end up playing most of the game with the good old battle rifle or the assault rifle, the fully automatic, signature Master Chief weapon, because that's what you respawn with. And not that any of the other guns are necessarily superior to the battle rifle or to the assault rifle, but they offer different styles of play that can certainly be beneficial. And they're like, I found one, it was like there's this long barrel. Reminded me of some of the weapons that were introduced in Halo 4, but it may have just been like a technologically advanced human weapon, and that thing just ate shields. So like I would annihilate people's shields and swap over to my rifle and just finish them off. Like there's going to be some growing strategy there as I learn the maps, which is always key to any first-person shooter, but particularly Halo, because weapon placement's so critical. and then learning what these new weapons do. Because some of the other ones I play with, I was like, I don't like how this performs. This is not my kind of weapon.
Yeah.
I will say I appreciated the fact that they only offered you like 3 maps.
Yeah, I
in the
think there's
beta.
only 3 maps right now.
So like it was once I started to learn those maps a little bit better, that also helped a lot, like you said.
And it's interesting because 343 has said this is we're releasing the game, but it's also still a bit of a beta. They're still planning on tweaking some things.
I think they literally called it a beta, like in the Game Pass app.
So, but they are confirming, your progression on the battle pass and all that will carry over. So none of that's going to reset, but I expect to see things to shift a little bit as they tweak in the balance of the game. But I'll add, because this is launching alongside, pretty close to Battlefield 2042 and Call of Duty Vanguard. Apparently, Call of Duty Vanguard's not. I mean, it's playing just fine. It's not having any technical issues, but it's not selling as well. And then 2042 apparently has had a very rough launch. It is nice to see, Halo launch. We had one longish wait, but and I think carts got dropped. But whether that was server side or his side, I don't know.
It's my side.
All right, so it is very stable. It's impressive to see they've already got ranked play in place, which a lot of competitive FPSs don't drop initially with ranked play. It takes a while to set it up. So I know the more competitive people out there are happy to see that. The battle pass, I've read the articles of people complaining about the lack of progress. They've already put a thing in now where you at least get 50 points for every match that you play, which is, I'm sure, to appease people a little bit. We'll see. I mean, the battle pass is supposed to go for a month. You're not supposed to be able to super fast grind it out, and I don't really care to either way. So that doesn't particularly bother me all that much. But it is nice to see a mainline franchise launch without any server issues.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a really good point. Because even Diablo 2, which is like a remake of a 20-year-old game backed by one of the largest publishers on the planet, Activision, they still had server issues.
Yeah,
So a lot of them. Yeah.
So I think 343 is they may not be throwing a perfect game, but they're pretty damn close so far.
Cool.
Brockle Dirk.
Yes.
Tell us your thoughts, man.
Well, I thought it was a pretty good iteration of Halo. Like from the last time I played to now, like kind of like what Sean was saying. The only thing that I remember that's different is dual wielding, and I don't really need to do that. So
Yeah.
I think
sprint
it's
now,
it's
which
fun.
is nice.
Oh, yeah, you couldn't sprint before?
No, there was no
No.
sprinting in
A lot of people
prior
were
to
mad about
Halo
Oh
that.
Reach.
gosh, I must have blocked it out.
And the whole like jumping up and him pulling himself up, that's new. So like I said, there's mobility improvements, but they're modernizations. They're not game changing. Like if you like how
And you
Halo
miss
plays,
wall running.
So I played about 3 rounds a couple days ago, just like on my own, just to experience it. And I will say that like my Titanfall 2, I didn't have that problem tonight, but the first few matches I played on my own, like my Titanfall 2 brain was in place, and I kept like, oh man, I could like wall run along this and like slide in there, and I was like, nope, no, you can't do that, Sean. Spartans apparently don't wall run.
There's even a wall like at an angle, but that doesn't have a ledge underneath it that you could walk next to. Like it looked like they designed it to be run on, and yet you obviously can't, which I thought was funny after I had remembered you saying that. But yeah, you said you guys don't need dual wielding. I'm sorry, but I need to dual wield those hammers. That is false.
Oh, God.
I need dual
The
wielding.
hammer has a lot further range than I remember it having back in the day.
It killed
Oh,
us
yeah.
so bad. Killed us so bad. All right, you heard it here first from the Halo Kings themselves. Tell us what you thought about this amazing game with infinite potential in the comments below.
Here's hoping they stick the landing with a great campaign story.
Go out and finish the fight.
Finish the fight.
Bye.